The stars looked different from Luna Station. Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the observation deck, watching Earth rotate slowly below. The blue marble had seen peace for 30 years now. No wars, no conflicts, just steady growth across 12 star systems. Humanity had learned to build instead of destroy. His thoughts broke when Commander Beth Taylor approached. Her face showed worry. "Sir, the alien delegation just arrived. President Martinez is connecting from Earth in 10 minutes. Morrison nodded. The Zephyrian Collective had sent ships 3 days ago. Their message was simple but concerning. The galaxy was splitting apart and they wanted to talk. The diplomatic chamber buzzed with activity. Technicians checked translation equipment, while security officers took positions around the room. Morrison had seen many alien species in his career, but the Zephyrians always made him uncomfortable. They looked like giant insects with too many arms and eyes that seemed to see everything. Ambassador Veltar entered the room with 3 other Zephyrians. Each one stood 8 feet tall with hard, shiny skin that reflected the chamber lights. Their compound eyes moved constantly, taking in every detail. Morrison noticed their weapons were ceremonial, but he knew they could kill a human in seconds if needed. "Admiral Morrison," Veltar spoke in accented English. His voice came from a device on his chest, translating his clicking sounds into human words. "Thank you for meeting with us. This conversation will shape the future of your species." Morrison gestured to the conference table. "Ambassador, please sit. President Martinez will join us shortly." The main screen flickered, showing President Lisa Martinez in her office in Geneva. She looked tired. The past month had brought reports of massive fleet movements across the galaxy. Something big was happening and Earth was right in the middle of it. "Ambassador Veltar," Martinez said, "your message mentioned urgent galactic matters. Please explain." Veltar activated a holographic projector. The air above the table filled with images of star systems, fleet positions, and battle formations. Red and blue markers showed 2 massive groups of ships moving across space. "President Martinez, the galaxy faces its greatest crisis in 1,000 years. 2 factions have formed, each claiming to fight for the future of all civilized species." The hologram zoomed in on specific systems. Morrison recognized some of them. Human trading partners, neutral worlds, peaceful colonies, all of them now showing military buildup. "The Hegemony Alliance," Veltar continued, "believes in order through strength. They say weak species must be protected by strong ones. The Draconary Empire leads them, along with 12 other major powers." The display shifted to show reptilian ships and their allies. Morrison had met Draconary before. They were aggressive traders who respected only force. Seeing them lead a military alliance made his stomach tight. The Liberation Front fights for freedom and independence. They claim every species should control its own destiny. The Mirtheni Collective and Vorthen Crystals lead this faction, with support from 15 other governments. More ships appeared in blue markers. Morrison knew these species too. The Mirthani were aquatic traders, usually peaceful. The Vorthens communicated through light patterns and rarely got involved in politics. If they were fighting, things were very bad. "Where does this leave neutral worlds?" Martinez asked. Veltar's mandibles clicked rapidly. Morrison had learned this meant stress or uncertainty. "That is why we come to you. Both factions are recruiting. The war will consume everything in its path. Species that do not choose sides will be seen as enemies by both." Morrison leaned forward. "Ambassador, how many ships are we talking about?" The hologram expanded to show the full scope. Thousands of vessels. Entire fleets that could destroy star systems. Morrison had never seen military forces this large. The Hegemony fields 8,000 combat vessels with more building daily. The Liberation Front has 6,000 ships but better technology. When they clash, entire sectors will burn. President Martinez was quiet for a moment. Morrison could see her thinking, weighing options that all seemed bad. "What exactly are you asking of Earth?" she finally said. "Join the Liberation Front," Veltar replied immediately. "Your species has shown remarkable growth in 30 years. 12 systems, advanced technology, strong industry. Your fleets could tip the balance toward freedom." Morrison almost laughed. Earth's fleets were mostly exploration ships and cargo haulers. They had weapons for asteroid clearing and pirate defense, nothing more. Humanity had spent 3 decades avoiding military buildup. "And if we refuse?" Martinez asked. Veltar's eyes darkened. "Then you will face both factions as enemies. Neutral worlds will be seen as resources to be claimed or threats to be eliminated. There is no middle ground in this conflict." The room fell silent. Morrison watched the holographic displays, seeing the future Veltar painted. Human colonies caught between massive war fleets. Peaceful worlds turned into battlegrounds. Everything they had built destroyed. Ambassador, Morrison said carefully, Earth has worked hard to stay out of galactic conflicts. We trade with everyone, fight with no one. It has served us well. It has served you well in peacetime, Veltar corrected. But peace is ending. Choose quickly, Admiral. Both factions grow stronger while you hesitate. President Martinez straightened in her chair. Morrison knew that look. She had made her decision. Ambassador Veltar, I appreciate your concern for humanity, but Earth's answer is no. We will not join either faction. Veltar's compound eyes focused entirely on the screen. President Martinez, you do not understand the forces at work here. This is not a choice you can avoid. We understand perfectly, Martinez replied. We choose neutrality. Earth will defend itself if attacked, but we will not be dragged into someone else's war. The Zephyrian's mandibles clicked rapidly. Other members of his delegation shifted position, showing agitation Morrison had rarely seen in their species. This is unwise, Veltar said. Your neutrality will not protect you. Both sides will see you as weak, as easy targets. They will come for your systems, your resources, your people. Morrison stood up slowly. Ambassador, humanity has faced threats before. We survived and grew stronger. If both factions want to see us as enemies, that is their choice. But we will not abandon our principles. Veltar gathered his equipment, the holographic display fading away. Very well. But remember this conversation when the war reaches your borders. The Zephyrian Collective offered friendship. Your refusal makes us neutral as well. As the delegation left, Morrison turned to Commander Taylor. Double all border patrols immediately. Activate reserve squadrons and put all colonies on alert status. Sir, do you really think they'll attack neutral worlds? Morrison looked back at the observation window, watching Earth turn in the darkness. Beth, we just told two massive military alliances that we won't help either of them. In their minds, that makes us a threat or a prize. Either way, trouble is coming. President Martinez remained on screen after the Zephyrians left. Admiral, how long do we have? Unknown, ma'am. But I recommend we start moving civilians from border colonies to safer systems. If this war spreads, those worlds will be the first targets. Martinez nodded grimly. Make it happen, and Jake? Start thinking about how to defend 12-star systems against enemies who outnumber us 1,000 to 1. Morrison saluted as the transmission ended. Outside, the stars looked the same as always. But now he knew that somewhere out there, two vast fleets were preparing for war. And humanity stood alone between them. 6 months had passed since the Zephyrian warning. Captain Ryan Brooks watched his patrol ship's sensors as they swept the edge of the Centauri system. The UES Guardian was one of 50 ships now guarding Earth's borders. Every day brought new reports of battles across the galaxy. Contact on long-range sensors. Lieutenant Amy Foster called from her station. Multiple ships, unknown configuration. Brooks moved to the tactical display. Red dots appeared on the screen, moving steadily toward human space. The computer counted them automatically. 15 ships, all larger than the Guardian. Can you identify them? Brooks asked. Foster worked at her console. Getting energy signatures now. Sir, those are Draknari vessels. Hegemony Alliance markings. Brooks felt his stomach tighten. The Draknari were reptilian warriors who believed strength was everything. If they were here, it meant trouble. Open communications, he ordered. The main screen flickered, showing the bridge of a Draknari warship. Fleet Commander Siskar sat in a command chair that looked more like a throne. His scaled skin was dark green and his yellow eyes burned with intelligence and cruelty. Sharp teeth showed when he spoke. Human vessel, Siskar said in heavily accented English. You will withdraw from this system immediately. The Hegemony Alliance claims all neutral territories for strategic purposes. Brooks straightened in his chair. He had dealt with aggressive aliens before, but never when they outnumbered him 15 to 1. Commander Siskar, this is Captain Brooks of Earth Defense Command. You are in human territory. By what right do you make claims here? Siskar's laugh was a harsh sound like breaking glass. By right of conquest, human. Your Federation chose neutrality in this war. That neutrality is now meaningless. All who do not serve the hegemony are obstacles to be removed. Behind Siskar, other Draknari officers worked at their stations. Brooks could see weapon displays and targeting systems. They were preparing for battle. Commander, Earth's colonies in this system have done nothing to threaten you. These people are farmers and miners, not soldiers. They are resources, Siskar replied coldly. Resources that could aid our enemies. You have 1 hour to evacuate your colonies, or we will do it for you. The transmission ended. Brooks turned to his crew. Lieutenant Dan Clark at Tactical looked worried. The Guardian was an exploration ship with light weapons. Against 15 Draknari warships, they would last maybe 5 minutes. Get me Fleet Command, Brooks ordered. Priority channel. While Foster worked on communications, Brooks studied the tactical display. The Draknari ships were spreading out, surrounding the system's inhabited worlds. This was not a random patrol. They had come here with a plan. Sir, I have Admiral Morrison, Foster reported. Morrison's face appeared on screen. The Admiral looked like he had not slept in days. Captain Brooks, report. Sir, 15 Draknari ships are demanding we evacuate the Centauri colonies. They claim the right to seize neutral territory. Morrison was quiet for a moment. Brooks could see other officers moving behind the Admiral, all looking stressed. Captain, are they targeting military installations? No, sir. They are focusing on civilian areas. Population centers, mining facilities, agricultural zones. Morrison's expression darkened. They are testing us, seeing if we will fight to protect our people. What is your tactical assessment? Brooks looked at his display again. Sir, we cannot win a direct engagement. Request permission to withdraw and call for reinforcements. Denied, Captain. You will remain on station and protect those colonists until relieved. The transmission ended before Brooks could protest. He turned to his crew, seeing their worried faces. Sir, Clark said quietly, the Admiral knows we cannot win this fight. He also knows we cannot abandon 3 million civilians. Brooks replied, all stations prepare for defensive action. Meanwhile, on the other side of human space, similar scenes played out. Liberation Front ships appeared near mining colonies and trading stations. The Murthani, usually peaceful aquatic traders, now demanded tribute from human merchants. Their crystalline Vorthon allies established protection zones around human facilities. Commander Helen Price commanded the patrol ship UES Vigilant when Murthani vessels surrounded her position. The aquatic aliens communicated through water-filled chambers in their ships, their messages translated by computer systems. Human Commander, the Murthani leader spoke through synthesized voice. Your species has rejected Liberation Front protection. This makes you vulnerable to hegemony aggression. We offer safety in exchange for cooperation. Price studied the alien ships on her screen. They were sleek and beautiful, designed for underwater combat but adapted for space. Their weapons could disable ships without destroying them, perfect for capturing rather than killing. What kind of cooperation? Price asked. Your mining operations produce metals we need for our war effort. Share your resources and we will protect your people from Draknari attacks. It sounded reasonable, but Price knew better. Once the Murthani controlled human resources, Earth would be dependent on them. Neutrality would become impossible. I need to contact my superiors, Price said. You have 6 hours to decide, the Murthani replied. After that, we cannot guarantee your safety. Back on Earth, President Martinez convened an emergency session of the Federation Council. Holographic representatives from all human colonies appeared around the circular chamber. Many looked frightened. The situation is clear, Martinez told the assembly. Both factions are using our neutrality as an excuse to seize our territory. They believe we are too weak to resist. Senator Kate Williams from the Alpha Centauri colony spoke up. Her image flickered slightly due to communication interference from nearby Draknari ships. Madam President, perhaps it is time to reconsider. We could join the Liberation Front and gain protection from hegemony attacks. And legitimize this war? Martinez shook her head. No. The moment we pick a side, we become part of the problem. But if we do nothing, Senator Williams continued, we lose everything anyway. At least if we choose allies, some of our people might survive. Other representatives began talking at once. Fear was spreading through the colonies. Parents worried about their children. Workers wondered if they should flee to safer systems. Martinez raised her hand for silence. I understand your concerns, but joining either faction means sending our sons and daughters to die in their war. It means turning our peaceful colonies into military bases. It means becoming everything we chose not to be 30 years ago. Admiral Morrison appeared on a priority channel. Madam President, I need to report developments from our border regions. Go ahead, Admiral. Both factions are making the same demands. Join us or face the consequences. They are giving our colonies ultimatums, forcing choices between submission and destruction. The chamber fell quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. War was coming whether Earth wanted it or not. What are our options? Martinez asked. Morrison's expression was grim. Limited, ma'am. We can evacuate border colonies and consolidate our defenses around core systems. We can try to negotiate with both factions, or we can show them that neutral does not mean defenseless. Explain that last option. We have 47 combat ships and maybe 200 vessels that could be armed for defense. Against thousands of alien warships, those numbers mean nothing in conventional warfare. But, Martinez sensed there was more. But our ships were not designed for conventional warfare. 30 years of peace gave us different priorities. We built exploration vessels, mining ships, colony transports. They have capabilities these military fleets might not expect. Martinez leaned forward. Are you suggesting we can actually fight them? I am suggesting we might surprise them, Morrison replied. If we are willing to abandon neutrality when our people are threatened. The president looked around the chamber at the worried faces of humanity's leaders. The choice was simple but terrible. Remain passive and watch their colonies fall, or fight back and risk everything. Admiral, Martinez said finally, prepare defensive positions around all human worlds. If either faction attacks our civilians, we will respond with all available force. Understood, ma'am. Rules of engagement? Martinez was quiet for a long moment. Protect our people, Admiral. Anyone who threatens them becomes a legitimate target. We did not choose this fight, but we will finish it. As the council session ended, reports came in from across human space. Alien fleets were moving closer to colonial worlds. Ultimatums were being delivered. The galaxy's greatest war was about to engulf humanity's peaceful corner of space. In the depths of space, Captain Brooks watched Draknari ships approach his position. In 1 hour, they would begin attacking civilian targets unless he withdrew. But his orders were clear. Protect the colonists at all costs. He looked at his crew, seeing determination replace fear on their faces. They were not warriors, but they were human, and humans protected their own. All stations, Brooks announced, prepare for combat. Today we find out what 30 years of peace has really taught us. The emergency alarm echoed through Earth Defense Command as Admiral Morrison rushed to the operations center. Officers ran between stations while screens displayed urgent messages from across human space. Something terrible had happened. Admiral, Lieutenant Colonel Susan Reed called out, "We have a priority distress call from New Kansas." Morrison moved to the main display. New Kansas was one of humanity's agricultural worlds, home to 3 million farmers and their families. The planet had been feeding refugee ships from both warring factions as a humanitarian gesture. Now the screen showed Governor Jim Patterson's face streaked with dirt and blood. "Earth Command, this is New Kansas." Patterson's voice crackled through static. "We are under attack by Draknari ground forces. They are not targeting military installations. They are hitting civilian population centers." Behind Patterson, explosions lit up the sky. The sound of screaming came through the communication channel. Morrison had never seen such terror in a colony governor's eyes. "Governor, what is your military status?" Morrison asked. "Sir, we have no military installations. This is a farming world. Our security force has 12 officers and some hunting rifles." The Draknari landed with battle mechs and heavy weapons. Lieutenant Colonel Reed pulled up tactical displays on nearby screens. Red markers showed Draknari ships in orbit around New Kansas. Energy signatures indicated massive bombardment patterns. "Admiral," Reed said quietly, "this is not a resource grab. They are making an example of us." Terror tactics. The transmission from New Kansas continued as Governor Patterson ducked behind cover. They hit Lincoln City first. Population 400,000. "The city is gone, sir, just gone. Now they are moving toward New Denver and Farm District 7. Morrison felt sick. Lincoln City had been home to families who had lived on New Kansas for 2 generations. Children, grandparents, teachers, shopkeepers. "All dead to make a point, sir," Patterson continued, his voice breaking. "They are herding civilians into camps. Anyone who resists gets shot. They are not taking prisoners for labor. They are killing people to send a message." President Martinez's face appeared on a priority screen. She looked pale but determined. "Admiral, what are our options?" Morrison studied the tactical displays. "Ma'am, our nearest combat ships are 6 hours away at maximum burn." By then, he did not need to finish. Everyone knew what 6 hours meant for the people of New Kansas. There is something else, Morrison said. Intelligence suggests this attack was specifically designed to force us into the war. The hegemony wants us to retaliate so they can justify further aggression against human colonies. And the Liberation Front? Martinez asked. Reed spoke up from her station. They are offering to help New Kansas, but only if we formally join their faction and provide fleet support for their offensive operations. Morrison wanted to smash something. Both alien factions were using human lives as bargaining chips. 3 million people were dying while politicians played games. So we lose our people or abandon our principles, Martinez said. The room fell silent except for the ongoing transmission from New Kansas. Governor Patterson's voice had become desperate as he described entire cities being destroyed. There is a third option, Morrison said quietly. Martinez looked at him. Explain. We save our people and show both factions why humanity stayed neutral. Not because we are weak, but because we are dangerous when provoked. The president was quiet for a moment. Morrison could see her thinking, weighing the consequences of abandoning 30 years of peaceful policy. Admiral, she said finally, you have authorization to deploy the home fleet. Rules of engagement. Morrison's smile was cold and hard. Protect human citizens. Anyone who threatens them becomes a legitimate target. Any questions can be directed to our diplomats after we rescue our people. Within an hour, Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Destiny, leading a fleet of 47 ships toward New Kansas. This was not like the patrol vessels scattered across human space. This was Earth's real military strength, ships that had been quietly built and upgraded during 30 years of supposed peace. Captain Nicole Gray reported from the sensor station. Admiral, we will reach New Kansas in 4 hours. Long-range scans show Draknari occupation forces have established ground bases across 3 continents. Morrison studied the tactical display. The Draknari had brought 200 ships to attack a defenseless farming world. It was massive overkill designed to terrify other neutral species. Any word from the surface? Morrison asked. Communications Officer Tony Walsh shook his head. Sir, most civilian communication networks are down. We are receiving scattered transmissions from emergency shelters and resistance groups. One transmission came through clearly. It was from Sarah Mitchell, a teacher in New Denver. Her voice was steady despite the chaos around her. This is New Denver Elementary School. We have 200 children in our emergency shelter. Draknari forces are 3 blocks away. If anyone receives this message, please help us. Morrison closed his eyes briefly. 200 children hiding in a school basement, while alien soldiers approached with weapons designed to kill adults in armor. Mr. Walsh, record a message for general transmission to New Kansas. Recording. Sir. Morrison looked directly at the camera. Citizens of New Kansas, this is Admiral Morrison of Earth Defense Command. The home fleet is coming. Hold on just a little longer. Help is on the way. As the fleet traveled through space, reports continued to come from the surface. The Draknari were not interested in capturing resources or taking prisoners. They were systematically destroying everything humans had built on New Kansas. Lieutenant Commander Pete Davis from the intelligence section brought Morrison new information. Sir, we intercepted Draknari communications. Fleet Commander Siskar is personally overseeing this operation. He is broadcasting the destruction to other neutral species as a warning. What kind of warning? Morrison asked. That neutrality will not protect anyone from hegemony justice. That weak species exist only to serve strong ones. Morrison nodded. Then we will teach him that humans are not weak. We have just been choosing our battles carefully. 4 hours later, the home fleet arrived at New Kansas to find the Draknari occupation in full swing. The reptilian forces had established military bases on the surface and were strip mining valuable areas while burning everything else. Admiral, reported Captain Gray, Draknari Fleet Commander Siskahar is hailing us. The main screen filled with the reptilian commander's image. He sat in his command chair looking pleased with himself. Behind him, other Draknari officers watched displays showing burning human cities. Admiral Morrison, Siskar said with mock politeness. How predictable. You arrived too late and with insufficient force. Your people have learned the price of neutrality. Morrison kept his voice calm and steady. Commander Siskar, you have attacked civilian targets and murdered innocent people. You have one opportunity to withdraw your forces from human territory immediately. Siskar's laugh was harsh and cruel. Withdraw from whom? You bring fewer than 50 ships against my fleet of 200. Your neutrality has made you soft, human. We are the Hegemony Alliance. We take what we want. Numbers are not everything, Morrison replied. Begin evacuation procedures now or face the consequences. The Draknari commander's eyes narrowed. Very well. Let us show these neutral cowards the true meaning of power. All ships prepare to destroy the human fleet. As the transmission ended, Morrison turned to his officers. They looked nervous but determined. Everyone knew they were outnumbered 4-1. All ships, Morrison announced on the fleet channel, execute Project Mongoose protocols. Show them what 30 years of peacetime innovation can accomplish. Captain Gray looked confused.
Sir, Project Mongoose?
Morrison smiled grimly. Something we developed during the peace years. Our ships were not designed to fight other warships. They were designed to do jobs that warships cannot do. The tactical display changed as human ships spread out in an unusual formation. Instead of battle lines, they moved like a swarm of insects, each ship following its own path toward different targets. Sir, Gray said, studying the display, our ships are not engaging the enemy fleet directly. They are heading for the planet. Exactly, Morrison replied. The Draknari expect us to fight ship to ship in space. Instead, we are going to rescue our people and destroy their ground forces. Let them chase us through an atmosphere their heavy warships cannot enter. The UES Excavator, originally a mining vessel, led the first wave toward New Kansas's surface. Captain Andy Miller had commanded asteroid mining operations for 15 years. Now he was using those same skills against Draknari ground installations. Target acquired, Miller reported. Draknari Base Alpha, Population Center, New Denver. Beginning precision strikes. The excavator's mining lasers designed to cut through solid rock sliced through Draknari armor like paper. Within minutes, the alien base was destroyed and human children were running from the school shelter toward rescue ships. Across New Kansas, similar scenes played out. Ships designed for exploration and construction became weapons of liberation. Colony transports used atmospheric entry systems to land directly in cities under attack. Medical vessels deployed emergency teams while cargo haulers evacuated civilians. The Draknari fleet tried to follow but found their Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Destiny as his fleet regrouped above New Kansas. The rescue operation had saved most of the colonists, but the Draknari fleet still controlled orbital space. 200 alien warships surrounded the 47 human vessels like predators, circling wounded prey. Admiral, Captain Gray reported from her station, Commander Siskar is demanding our immediate surrender. He says we have 30 minutes before he begins destroying our ships. Morrison looked at the tactical display. The Draknari had positioned their heaviest ships to block any escape routes. They believed they had trapped the human fleet. Open a channel to all our ships, Morrison ordered. Faces appeared on screens throughout the bridge. Captains of mining vessels, exploration ships, and colony transports looked back at him. These were not military officers trained for war. They were engineers, scientists, and civilian workers who had volunteered to save their people. Captains, Morrison began, the enemy believes we are trapped. They think our rescue mission was a lucky accident and now we will surrender like good civilians should. Captain Pete Henderson of the mining ship UES Excavator spoke up. Admiral, what are your orders? My crew is ready to follow your lead. Morrison smiled grimly. We are going to show the Draknari why humanity chose peace for 30 years. Not because we were weak, but because war was unnecessary. Today they made it necessary. He turned to the fleet tactical officer. Execute Protocol 7. All ships switched to combat configuration. What happened next amazed even Morrison. Ships that had looked like civilian vessels began changing. Cargo bays opened to reveal weapon systems. Mining equipment rotated into firing positions. Exploration sensors became targeting systems. The UES Excavator deployed its asteroid mining charges. Thousands of small devices designed to break apart space rocks. Captain Henderson had modified them during the trip to New Kansas. Now they moved toward Draknari ships like guided missiles. Target the heavy cruiser, Henderson told his crew. Same as cracking a stubborn asteroid. Find the weak points and apply pressure. The mining charges struck the Draknari ship's armor and exploded in sequence. Each blast was small, but together they created cracks that spread across the alien vessel's hull. Within minutes, the cruiser broke apart like a shattered rock. Other human ships used different approaches. The colony transport UES Pioneer had been designed to land on dangerous worlds with hostile atmospheres. Captain Lisa Wong used those same systems to survive inside the enemy formation. Shields holding, Wong reported as Draknari energy weapons hit her ship. These shields were built to handle solar storms and asteroid impacts. Their weapons are designed for thin ship hulls, not heavy colony protection. The exploration vessel UES Pathfinder had spent years mapping dangerous space phenomena. Captain Rick Stone used that knowledge to create artificial hazards around enemy ships. Deploying gravity mines, Stone announced. His ship released devices originally designed to study black holes and neutron stars. Now they created small gravity wells that pulled Draknari vessels off course and into each other. Fleet Commander Siskar watched in growing anger as his ships fell to human tactics he had never seen before. These were not military maneuvers taught in war colleges. This was something entirely different. How are they doing this? He demanded of his tactical officer. Sir, they are not fighting like a military fleet. Each ship uses different weapons and tactics. We cannot predict their moves because they do not follow standard combat doctrine. A new report came from another Draknari captain. Commander, the human mining vessel just destroyed our battlecruiser Fierce Talon. It used industrial cutting beams that sliced through our armor like it was thin metal. Siskar snarled in frustration. They are miners and farmers, not warriors. How can they defeat trained soldiers? The answer came from an unexpected source. Commander Helen Price of the medical ship UES Mercy was treating wounded from both sides when she overheard Draknari prisoners talking. They fight like no species we have ever encountered, one wounded Draknari soldier said. Their weapons are designed to work in conditions that would destroy our equipment. Their ships can survive damage that would cripple our vessels. Price realized something important. Human ships had been built for 30 years of dangerous exploration and harsh industrial work. They were tougher and more versatile than pure military vessels that only needed to fight other ships. She opened a communication channel to Admiral Morrison. Sir, the Draknari are confused because our ships do jobs their warships cannot do. They have never faced industrial equipment used as weapons. Morrison understood immediately. Thank you, Commander. All ships implement civilian protocols. Use your normal work procedures against military targets. The battle changed completely. Human ships stopped trying to fight like warships and started treating Draknari vessels like work obstacles to be removed. Mining ships blasted through enemy formations like they were clearing asteroid fields. Construction vessels used building tools to literally tear apart alien hulls. Transport ships deployed landing craft that swarmed over enemy vessels like repair crews. Captain Tony Brooks of the UES Guardian found himself face-to-face with a Draknari boarding party. The reptilian soldiers had expected to fight human military personnel. Instead, they met civilian workers armed with industrial tools. Use the plasma cutters, Brooks told his crew. Same as cutting through a damaged hull for repairs. The boarding party retreated quickly when they realized human weapons could cut through their armor and the ship walls behind them. Military equipment was designed for fighting soldiers, not dealing with tools that could reshape matter at the molecular level. Meanwhile, in space around New Kansas, the larger battle continued. What had started as 200 Draknari ships against 47 human vessels had become chaos. Human ships moved through the enemy formation like they belonged there, doing their jobs while Draknari forces tried to stop them. The medical ship UES Mercy moved between burning vessels, rescuing survivors from both sides. Captain Jennifer Walsh had modified her ship's rescue equipment to work in combat conditions. Deploying emergency pods, Walsh announced. Each pod was designed to extract injured people from dangerous environments. Now they pulled surviving crew members from destroyed ships, human and alien alike. The Draknari could not understand this behavior. In their culture, enemies were left to die, but humans saved everyone, even the soldiers who had been trying to kill them minutes before. Sir, reported the Draknari tactical officer, the humans are rescuing our people from destroyed vessels.
Should we fire on their medical ships?
Siskar paused. Attacking medical vessels violated even Draknari military law, but these same ships had been fighting his forces effectively just moments before. No, he said finally. Honor demands we allow medical operations. The decision cost him. While Draknari ships held their fire on medical vessels, those same ships were using their rescue operations to get close to undamaged enemy vessels and deploy more civilian workers with industrial tools. Within 4 hours, the tide of battle had completely reversed. 60 Draknari ships had been destroyed or disabled. The remaining vessels were retreating to safe distance, trying to understand what had happened. Admiral Morrison received a communication from the Draknari flagship. Commander Siskar appeared on screen, his scaled face showing confusion and anger. "Human Admiral," Siskar said, "your tactics violate all accepted rules of space combat. You use civilian vessels as warships and industrial tools as weapons. This is not honorable warfare." Morrison leaned back in his chair. "Commander, you attacked a farming world and murdered innocent civilians. You used terror tactics against people who had never threatened you. Do not lecture us about honor." "We are warriors," Siskar replied. "We fight as our ancestors taught us, ship against ship, soldier against soldier." "And we are builders," Morrison said. "We solve problems with whatever tools work best. Today the problem was protecting our people from your fleet." The Draknari commander was quiet for a moment. "What are your terms for ending this engagement?" Morrison looked at his tactical display. The human fleet had taken damage, but all ships were still operational. The Draknari had lost more than a quarter of their force. "Complete withdrawal from human space," Morrison said. "Return any surviving prisoners. Allow safe passage for refugee ships, and broadcast a message to both factions that humanity is not weak, just selective about when we fight." Siskahar's eyes narrowed. "And if we refuse?" Morrison smiled coldly. "Then we continue this demonstration of human industrial capabilities. How many more ships are you willing to lose to prove a point?" The transmission ended. Within an hour, the remaining Draknari vessels had jumped to hyperspace, leaving New Kansas orbit clear. Captain Gray turned to Admiral Morrison. "Sir, what do we do now? Both factions will have heard about this battle." Morrison looked out at the stars, knowing that news of humanity's victory would spread across the galaxy quickly. "Now we prepare for visitors. Every neutral species in the galaxy is going to want to know how civilians defeated professional soldiers." On the surface of New Kansas, Governor Patterson stood among the ruins of Lincoln City, watching reconstruction crews arrive from other human worlds. The attack had been terrible, but the news of humanity's victory at New Kansas spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within days, every species involved in the Great War had heard the impossible story. A fleet of civilian vessels had defeated professional Draknari warriors using mining equipment and construction tools. President Martinez stood before the United Nations Assembly in New York, addressing not just human representatives but delegates from 47 different alien species. The Great Hall had been modified to accommodate beings that breathed different atmospheres and communicated in ways humans were still learning to understand. "For 30 years, Martinez began, humanity chose neutrality not from weakness but from wisdom. While others perfected the art of destruction, we learned to build better lives for our people." In the audience, Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian Collective listened with new respect. The insectoid diplomat had returned to Earth not as a recruiter for one of the warring factions, but as someone seeking a third option. Behind Martinez, holographic displays showed the rescued population of New Kansas. All 3 million colonists had survived, though their world would need years to rebuild. More importantly, the rescue had been broadcast across the galaxy, showing other species that there was an alternative to choosing sides in the Great War. "Our victory was not achieved through superior firepower," Martinez continued. "It came from refusing to accept that we had only 2 choices. We did not join the Liberation Front or the Hegemony Alliance. We created a third path." Admiral Morrison, recently promoted to Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces, stood beside the president. His uniform was simple compared to the elaborate military dress of other species, but everyone in the room knew what his forces had accomplished. "The war between the major factions continues," Morrison announced. "Earth will not join either side. However, we are establishing the Neutral Protection Zone. Any species that wishes to withdraw from this conflict may find sanctuary in our territory." The reaction was immediate. Delegates began talking excitedly in dozens of languages. The translation systems worked overtime to keep up with the flood of questions and comments. A representative of the aquatic Murthani rose from her water-filled booth. "Commander Morrison, the Liberation Front has protected smaller species for generations. Why should we trust human promises over proven allies?" Morrison looked directly at the aquatic being. "Because we have no interest in controlling you. Our goal is not victory in this war, but ending it entirely. Anyone who joins our protection zone does so as an equal partner, not a subordinate. Another delegate, this one from a silicon-based species that communicated through light patterns, flashed a question. The translation came through the room's speakers. What guarantee do you offer that stronger species will not simply take what they want from your protection zone? Martinez smiled grimly. The same guarantee we gave the Draknari fleet at New Kansas. Anyone who attacks civilians under our protection will discover that peaceful people can be very dangerous when provoked. After the assembly, Morrison found himself in a private meeting with an unexpected visitor. The being sat across from him in a small conference room, hood pulled up to hide features that seemed to shift between different alien characteristics. Admiral, the figure said in perfect English, my name is difficult for humans to pronounce. You may call me Alex. I represent what you might call the silent majority. Morrison studied the hidden face carefully. What silent majority? Alex lowered his hood, revealing features that combined characteristics from at least 6 different species. His skin shifted color like a chameleon. His eyes held the compound structure of insectoids, but his general shape was humanoid. I am what happens when different species work together instead of fighting, Alex explained. My parents came from 3 different worlds. My genetic structure includes beneficial traits from multiple evolutionary paths. That should be impossible, Morrison said. It was, until your species proved that impossible just means no one has tried the right approach yet. Admiral, I represent billions of beings across dozens of species who have grown tired of this war. Morrison leaned forward. What do you want from Earth? Teach us, Alex said simply. Show us how a species can grow strong without conquest, how to explore without exploitation, how to defend without becoming the aggressor. Over the following weeks, ships began arriving from across the galaxy, not the massive war fleets that had been patrolling space for months, but smaller vessels carrying refugees, deserters, and entire civilian populations fleeing the conflict. The first major group came from the Crystalline Gardens, a cluster of worlds where artistic species had lived in peace for centuries. Their representative, a being made of living crystal that sang instead of spoke, met with human diplomats on Luna Station. Our worlds lie between the 2 great fleets, the crystal being sang in harmonious tones. Soon they will clash and our people will be caught in the middle. We offer our knowledge of harmonic technologies in exchange for sanctuary. Captain Lisa Wong of the Colony Transport, UES Pioneer, had been assigned to help establish refugee settlements. She found herself working with species she had never imagined could exist together. The crystal people can literally sing matter into new shapes, Wong reported to Morrison. The gas cloud beings from the nebula colonies can process toxins that kill other species. The underground dwellers from the cave worlds can mine asteroids without any equipment at all. Each refugee group brought unique abilities that had been overlooked by the warring factions. Species that were too small to contribute meaningful military force proved invaluable for peaceful construction and exploration. Meanwhile, the Great War continued to rage across the galaxy. But something had changed. Reports came in of entire fleets deserting their factions to join the Human Protection Zone. Worlds that had been forced to choose sides began declaring neutrality and requesting Earth's protection. On Draknari Prime, Fleet Commander Siskar faced a tribunal of his superiors. The High Command had expected easy victories over neutral worlds. Instead, they faced a growing alliance of species that refused to fight but proved impossible to conquer. The humans must be destroyed, Grand Marshal Thekvar declared, his scaled fist striking the conference table. They threaten the natural order. Weak species must serve strong ones. This is the way of the universe. Siskar, who had fought the human fleet directly, shook his head. Marshal, with respect, they have proven they are not weak. Their civilian ships outperformed our best military vessels. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach. You suggest we negotiate with prey animals? Another officer snarled. I suggest we recognize that they are not prey, Siskar replied carefully. They are something we have not encountered before. A species that became powerful through cooperation instead of conquest. Similar debates occurred on Mirthani homeworld, where the Liberation Front leadership struggled with their own losses. Entire member species had abandoned their cause to join the Human Protection Zone. Counselor Reefhigh addressed the War Council from her aquatic chamber. The humans have created something we did not think possible. A faction that grows stronger by refusing to fight. They cannot sustain this. another counselor argued. Military force is the only true power in the galaxy. Eventually they will face opponents they cannot defeat with mining equipment. Perhaps, Reef-High replied, but they have already defeated us in a way we did not expect. They have convinced our own allies that there is a better path than endless war. Back on Earth, Morrison received reports from human exploration teams working with refugee populations. The results exceeded all expectations. Captain Rick Stone of the exploration vessel UES Pathfinder had been working with a team of former military engineers from both factions.
Admiral, you need to see this.
The combined knowledge from all these refugee species has advanced our technology by decades. The holographic display showed new ship designs that combined human engineering with alien innovations. Vessels that could travel faster, build more efficiently, and survive in environments that had been impossible to explore. The crystal beings taught us to grow hull metal instead of forging it, Stone continued. The gas cloud species showed us how to process fuel from stellar radiation. The underground dwellers can mine asteroids from the inside out. Morrison smiled as he studied the designs. How long until we can build these? 6 months for the first prototypes. Admiral, these ships will not just be better than anything the major factions have. They will make traditional warfare obsolete. The final test came when both major factions attempted to force the issue. Hegemony and Liberation Front fleets met at the edge of human space, intending to settle their differences by conquering the protection zone and dividing it between them. Morrison led a combined fleet of human vessels and refugee ships to meet them. The enemy forces outnumbered them 5-1, but the human commander was not worried. All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Today we show the galaxy that cooperation is stronger than conquest. Begin integration protocols. What followed was not a battle in any traditional sense. Human ships worked with alien vessels in ways that had never been attempted. Crystal beings sang new materials into existence while human engineers shaped